Got some things squared away here. So let's start with some theme music so I can get things set up. Shout outs to everybody on Spreaker, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So, folks, give me 1 second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set things up so we can get this intro done right and properly. Let's go.
Network of awareness makes your brain coherent. One of the fastest growing podcasts. You can hear it 24/7. Got listeners out in London, informationalists in Paris. The echo spreading out, no parrot. Just dissect, digest, and share it. The righteous rhymes hit the spirit. Click 90 times, it won't perish. Cause y'all's the mind ain't no fairy tale like the valley our parents. It's time to rise, don't get weary. United minds, it's apparent. Download every single errand, but most ain't fit to catch it, even if they were Larry. Interviews, the interludes, they enter you, taking you on a journey like no other. It places you in a state of awareness. It's your fault if you hate the truth, cause Yahweh's on his way, my brother. Better change your views. All praise to Yah.
We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, ORRA the Informationalist.
Yes, peace and greetings, people. This is ORRA the Informationalist, and you tuned into a live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. And today's episode is serving with a sense of urgency. We're going to talk about serving. And when I talk about serving, I'm talking about serving the Most High, serving in our purpose. And we all have great purpose, and we have a multitude of purposes when serving the Most High. And we're going to discuss that. And shout outs to everybody that's tuning into the live broadcast. Of course, if you can't, you can always watch it on YouTube later, on my YouTube channel, or on my Twitter page. Or you can listen to it on any place where podcasts are played. And those that are tuning in to Spreaker, thank you. And those that are tuning in everywhere else on YouTube and Twitter, I appreciate it. And we're going to get this show popping. Shout outs to Sister Nama. Shalom, sister. Appreciate you coming through. And listen, I know there's a lot of people celebrating New Year's last night. They were blowing fireworks out here. And you know, people love to celebrate the tradition of coming into the new Gregorian calendar year. but many of us that are in this truth know that this is not the beginning of the year. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about serving with great urgency. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that that I just want to shed some light on, and also I'm going to reflect on some of the things that have passed, as well as all the things that have happened and things that we can look forward to as long as we put ourselves in positions to do the right thing instead of doing the wrong thing and getting caught up in doing the wrong things, especially when it comes to the type of people that we associate with. It's very important. So, with that being said, brothers and sisters, let's get this show started, shall we?
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
So, welcome to the show. This is episode 25 of the Network of Awareness, and as you can see, I'm rocking my Rode mic today. I brought out one of the heavy hitters. Since I haven't used it in a while, I figured let me get it out, and I wanted to talk about serving with a sense of urgency, a great sense of urgency to be exact. And before I really dig into that, I'm gonna pull up something here. Shout outs to the BOCC, and I wanna just recognize a young lady who I was told that this young sister, she's actually 14 years old. And I'm going to pull up an article here that was in the newsletter. And let me pull it up here real quick. All right. So just give me a second, folks. I'm pulling up a newsletter now. I'm going to pull up this newsletter. Okay. So I want to give a shout out to the Thompson family. And I want to recognize Soraya Thompson. Now, Soraya Thompson is a young lady who is part of the BOCC, and she took the time to write a really thought-provoking, impactful article. And I was very impressed, not just because she mentioned my name, but I was very impressed in the quality in which this was written because, in my personal opinion, I think this article was written just as good as any adult journalist, whether it be from the New York Times, CNN, or any other type of publication. So I'm going to read the article and, we're going to talk about this because the young sister happened to listen to an episode that I did with Brother ORRA, and he basically, decided to call the episode "The Prince of the Power of the Air," which obviously the Prince of the Power of the Air, for those that don't know, especially to my TikTok followers, those that asked the question that didn't know that Satan was the Prince of the Power of the Air. He truly is. And he controls all the airwaves. So she had a chance to listen to the episode, and this is what she wrote, and it's called "Nothing New, Another Work of the Enemy." So it starts out by saying, while listening to Brother Aura's podcast, "The Prince of the Power of the Air," it sparked an idea in my mind. He and Brother Aquarai were talking about how this world will not perish because of famine starvation, or any other kind of hardship. No, it will perish because too because I'm sorry. No, it will perish because of people too much in love with their own selves. Sadly, this is the hard cold truth. All praises. Revolving around this, my family and I were having a discussion concerning the big storm in Buffalo and how people were out looking um were out looting given the horrible snowy circumstances. And I remember that, sister, because it was a sight to see. It was pretty sad. The news covered it and they showed the people looting and all that. Now she goes on to write, they could have done anything else with their time, but that's the first thing they chose to do. That heavy demon out there is a real thing. Facts. I added the facts in, by the way. It consumes you and clouds your brain entirely. You act and don't think about anything or anyone else in the moment but yourself. Woo. Now she puts in scriptures. She puts in Second Timothy's chapter 3 verses 1 to 5, and it says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, for traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of the Most High God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away." She goes on to write, many people don't have compassion or charity because they are lovers of themselves. It's like love doesn't exist anymore. And I'm not talking about the fake smile and hugging with people that don't really care about you. Love is one of the most important things that you can ever have. Real, true love. Love for your brother, sister, mother, father, yourself. Woo! But most importantly, love for the Most High that created us in the first place and put us where we are today. But there's hardly any love for Him these days. Ain't that the truth? Don't deceive yourself and become like everybody else. Sister, let me, for if Soraya, if you're listening to this episode, or if you get to ever listen to this episode, salute to you, sister. Very well written. And she goes on, it doesn't finish. She goes to quote two other books in the Bible. Okay, so the first one is Deuteronomy 7, verse 9. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. First Peter's chapter 4, verse 8 says, and above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I mean, I'm telling you, what a great article this young lady wrote. So let's um let's definitely give her a round of applause here because that article, in my opinion, it was written better than most journalists write today that went to college and all that and got their degrees. So shout outs to Sister Soraya Thompson and the Thompson family. All praises. Wonderful. So I want to talk about that because the enemy appears to be getting stronger, but the enemy is not actually getting stronger. What's happening is the enemy and these demons and these forces of principalities, they're just getting desperate. And it's because the time is nigh. We're in the days of revelations. Things are unfolding. The truth is being brought out more and more every single day. So for every day that they got some type of shenanigans story to feed us, some type of nonsense. And by the way, I'm not going to curse on this episode because when I have 14-year-olds listening to the show, I have to be cognizant of that. Not that most of my shows are curse, but make sure I don't for this one. So the explicit button's not on. But it's important to understand that these dark forces are just getting desperate. So what they're doing is that they're intensifying their pressure onto us, all right, the children of the Most High, as well as just continuing to misguide souls to Satan and to really mislead people. You know, I happened to watch, and not just last night, but this morning, some of the clips of the celebrations that were going on. And it's just interesting that, this is my third, I believe, yeah, this is my third year that I've gone into the quote unquote New Year's celebration, which I don't celebrate, but that time of year where I didn't drink any alcohol. And I'm very grateful for that because, I stopped drinking alcohol a long time ago, but usually around this time of year, I used to drink a beer or whatever. So this is actually my third year in a row where I didn't consume any alcoholic beverage or anything. But I noticed that a lot of people were drinking last night. I saw it on the television. Everybody's like, oh, take a shot, this and that. And we have these traditions that are they are very misleading. And as many of you know that you don't know, when you do drink, first of all, when you drink, you shouldn't drink to get drunk. But unfortunately, that's what a lot of people did last night. They got drunk and a lot of bad things happened. I can only imagine some of the things that happened. But also keep in mind that when you're drinking, you're allowing spirits to have an effect on you. You're allowing certain entities, you're opening the door to them. And that's why, just common sense, most of the time when people drink, they don't have the better sense of self. They don't make wise decisions. And we have these pagan holidays around this year where a lot of bad things happen. And it really starts in the end of November going into December. I've talked about this recently with Brother Julian about how suicide is always at a high rate during the month of December. Obviously, I know this from firsthand experience with my nephew back in 2013. Um, just a lot of demonic attacks happen around this time of year. Now, it's my personal belief and opinion that I think that part of the reason why these dark principalities have such great influence around this time of year is because think about it like this. we're celebrating pagan holidays, most of us, most people in society, not just even in American society, but in other parts of the world. Shout outs to all my people in the other countries that listen, like the UK, India, Canada, South Africa, South America, all of y'all, Australia. But a lot of people are celebrating these pagan holidays like Christmas, like New Year's Eve, like Thanksgiving. And what winds up happening is that energy, like we spoke about on the Prince of the Power of the Air with Brother Aquarai, when you have so many people dialed in to a certain frequency, that frequency intensifies because the level of attention that's being given to the traditions and rituals of those pagan holidays. So, those that are well educated know that Christmas is the veneration of Nimrod. So, when you are venerating false gods, um, demonic entities in these pagan ritualistic holidays, or some of us know them as holidays, I call them holidays. I think that having so many people focused on specific rituals and putting their energy into these holidays is why so many bad things happen, because the psychic vampirism, so to speak, that they feed off of, these vampires, these demons, these dark forces, they get energized. And if they're getting fully energized on a global scale through these pagan ritualistic holidays, they're going to be able to inflict more harm, more damage. They're going to have more influence. And if you don't know, and this is not something that I can prove, but it has been discussed. And when it comes to suicide or even murder, most of the time, there is a demonic entity that is present when these acts or when these horrific acts are executed, like suicide. There is a demonic presence there. Sometimes it could be one, or it could be a multitude of dark principalities that are actually present in that particular situation, in that area, in that room, or whatever vicinity or wherever that person's at. And sometimes it could be a multitude of people being self-destructive, or it can be just one person. But I truly believe it's because we are venerating and giving energy to this illusion and to these dark forces that have been around for centuries, if not eons. And now we are going into, obviously, the year according to the Gregorian calendar, right? We are in the year 2023, officially according to the Gregorian calendar, even though all of us know that we don't start the new year until March. But one thing to keep in mind is that the zeitgeist, which is the spirit of the times, the zeitgeist is splitting. And the spirit of the times is that there's people that are coming closer into serving the Most High with a sense of urgency. And then there's those that are actually straying away from the Most High with a sense of urgency and really giving more energy to the dark principalities, to Lucifer, to Satan, to the demonic entities with a great sense of urgency. Those are the two things that are happening right now. And I truly believe that in the year 2023, we're going to see great calamity. We're going to see a lot of manipulation, way more than what we saw in 21, 22, and 20. But remember, the nucleus to a lot of this manipulation that we're now seeing was started with the pandemic. Because I think what a lot of people fail to realize, and some people may know this, but the pandemic wasn't just spiritual warfare when it comes to your health. It wasn't just that. It was spiritual warfare in a multitude of aspects. It hurt people financially, spiritually, it hurt people mentally because depression is still at an all-time high based on the effects that the pandemic has had since its inception. And I hope that I don't get flagged for saying that, because you know how they love to hate on one of these channels. I don't even want to mention their name, but they love to hate on this channel. But it's just a fact. So many different people have been affected in so many different ways. And something that's not really discussed is mental health, which really mental health is your spiritual health. Because whatever you are feeding your mind or whatever you're depriving your mind of spiritually is going to have an effect on you. That's why it's important now more than ever to have a relationship with the Most High, because that's the only way you can really thrive in these dark times that we're in. It's the only way you can keep a positive spirit about yourself when dealing with all of the propaganda and all of the manipulation. So the reason why I titled this Serving with a Sense of Urgency is because I truly think we all should be serving with great sense of urgency. And it's one thing that I'm committing to coming in to the new year before the new year even starts. Because why not? What excuses do we have not to? Either we're coming closer to serving through our service to the Most High, or we're straying away. And for me personally, I remember telling a couple of brothers that I want to be extremely uncomfortable for the year of 2023. Extremely uncomfortable. And what I mean by uncomfortable is that I want to get a lot of things done. I want to pursue things with great enthusiasm to serve the Most High and with a great sense of urgency so that I could do all that I possibly can through the grace of the Most High. And that's a goal that I had set out for myself last month. And so far, it's going pretty well, but there's always room for improvement. And every single day, we can improve on being better servants. And one thing we can start doing, like Sister Soraya wrote so eloquently and so beautifully, is that we need to start loving each other. And we need to start having more love for the Most High. And how do we show the Most High our love? By serving. How do we show the Most High our love? Through charity. And that's why it's so important to be in that type of mindset and to be pursuing serving with such a great sense of urgency so that you can be in proper alignment with the Most High, with the commandments, with the laws, and understanding the knowledge and applying it. Because it's one thing to gain knowledge, but it's a whole nother thing to apply it. And that's where charity comes in. So something else that I want to just mention before I continue, because I forgot to mention this yesterday when I was in a class, but there's a lot of churches that or congregations that have resulted to doing their classes and having their sermons and classes and masses and congregating via Zoom or any type of networking digital platform remotely. Just like brothers and sisters from the BOCC, other brothers and sisters from other congregations, camps, networks, everybody's resulted because of the pandemic to start, went into that mode of doing things remotely. And there's a lot of people that are milking that. And what I mean by that is I had a particular situation where I had to go to a hearing because somebody owes me money. So we had to go to court, and basically the courts and all of these municipalities, they're milking it. They're using this as an excuse so that they could do less work, and they want to keep things that way. And that's fine. If that's what they want to do, so be it. It's just it it paints a pretty picture of what this country is really about, in my opinion, because I think the pandemic really exposed the United Shenanigans of America for what it truly is, which is a big lie, a long legacy of lies. But going back to the congregations, it was discussed yesterday, and other people have been discussing this, that it's time for brothers and sisters to start congregating in person, in the flesh, being able to, you know, console or counsel and really come together in person, because the enemy operates through the airwaves, right? Prince of the power of the air. So a lot of times the airwaves can get manipulated, as they have. I can tell you, just off the fact that this particular episode right here, I had to end it. I had to restart everything. I had to reboot my audio interface. I mean, you name it. Now, something I didn't tell Brother Akurai, but I'll mention it here on the show. Just a little fun fact. When we did the Prince of the Power of the Air, towards the end, when it was getting really good, when we was really breaking down some truth through the scriptures and through our conversation, on my backup recording, when I went to go edit my show, towards the end, I would say the last 15 or 10 minutes of the show, white noise. All you heard was and I was like, what the hell is this? But as I started to listen, I said, oh, okay. Prince of the Power of the Air. And I was like, that was the enemy. It was very weird. I never had any situation like that. The beauty of it was that this is what I had to do, people, because that whole the end of that broadcast got corrupted on the pre-record. I couldn't use that file, or at least the end of it. So what I had to do, all praise to the Most High, that ingenuity, I took whatever was usable, I put that into my DAW, into my Logic Pro, and then what I did was I took the recording from the StreamYard. Two of them was corrupted, but the original video recording wasn't. So I took the video recording, and what I basically did is I detached the audio in another software, this very advanced software that I got a couple months ago. And I basically detached it, took the audio that had the white noise and all that other nasty stuff on there, and I just started it from there, placed that with the rest of what I already had in Logic Pro, and that's how I was able to edit that show and was able to still put it out, and it sounded great and everything. So, all things are possible through the Most High, and where there's a will, there's a way. But what was interesting is that it got corrupted towards the end. And that's because Satan is the prince of the power of the air. Now, with that being said, it's important that we don't get complacent in having relationships remotely. And I can tell you that I'm a professional in understanding this, because in the beginning of 2022 and for most of the year, a lot of relationships that I had was functioning like that, digitally, remote. And obviously, a lot of you know how some of those relationships turned out. Not too good, right? Not too good. But it has already been proven that one of the purposes that the pandemic served was to socially distance ourselves, which it also means that a lot of us are spiritually distancing ourselves from each other because we're not having that unity in person. We're not having that real meaningful congregation like we're supposed to. So I'm going to say this because I felt very compelled in my spirit. This feeling came over me yesterday when this was being presented in a class that I was in, is that I truly believe to the very core, to the very fiber of everything that I am, through the grace of the Most High, that when brothers and sisters in these congregations start coming together physically as they used to, it's going to be far greater, more potent, and better than it was before. And you heard it here on the Network of Awareness. Watch. It's going to happen. I feel it. I just feel like when brothers and sisters get together once again on a consistent basis, great things are going to start happening. Not that great things are not happening right now, and not that they haven't when brothers and sisters are congregating remotely, because just the level of consistency in that is meaningful. But mark my words, when brothers and sisters start uniting again from not being together consistently for quite some time now because of this, remote pandemic, social distancing, mumbo jumbo, it's going to be far greater because that's how the Most High works. And that's one thing I've learned is that Satan, these dark principalities, these demons, when they're trying to set you up for the okie doke, when they're trying to bamboozle you, a lot of times it may seem like they're successful in their deception, but it winds up backfiring on them. Just like what happened with the Kaka 19. A lot of the initiatives or what they thought was going to happen wound up backfiring on them because a lot of brothers and sisters didn't go with the agenda. And there's still a lot of these dark forces that are really pissed off about that. That's why they're applying more pressure now in other, shapes and forms. One of the big things that I've been talking about is the winter weather wars. And just like Sister Soraya talked about in her article that she wrote, was about the people that was looting in Buffalo. And look at it from this perspective. This bomb cyclone, okay? How is it that damn near the whole entire country of the United States, almost the whole entire country, people, not going to say the whole entire, but damn near almost the whole entire country. How is it that almost the whole entire country dropped in temperature on levels that we only see once in a generation? They said, what did they call it? Once in a generation storm. But why is it that it happened right after they were seeding the clouds with their chemtrails all over the country of the United Shenanigans of America? Then all of a sudden we have this bomb cyclone. And a lot of people died, unfortunately. A lot of people died from the cold. People were dying in Buffalo, throughout New York, other places in the Northwest, in the Midwest. I mean, there was a lot of people dying that died, people that got stuck, people that didn't have food. And I had said that this was going to happen before it happened when I did that show, Winter Weather Wars. And it actually was far worse than what I talked about when you hear from some of the first responders and what they had to go through. First responders were working like 72 hours straight, getting damn near no sleep It got real. And it's still real. They're still cleaning up. They're still probably going to be finding bodies and all that. But this is the war. This is the spiritual war intensifying. And why is because, like I always say, that Agenda 2030 is real. Depop is real, people. And because they didn't get to eliminate as many people as they wanted to, they have to go, these forces, these principalities have to use other methods as they have been. So, what are we going to start seeing intensify for this particular year of 2023? One is definitely the food. It's already happening and it's going to get far worse. And it's not even just the scarcity of food, but it's actually the food that's available that's genetically modified organisms, as well as the cloud seeding. This cloud seeding is just the beginning. This bomb cyclone that we just had in the month of December is just the beginning. We still got January, February, and March. It might even happen in April because there's been times when they've manipulated the weather in April and it's like 80 degrees or 75 degrees and all of a sudden it goes down to 20 and it messes up everything. So we gotta serve the Most High with a sense of urgency for the year 2023, because the year 2023 is going to be another year of where our faith is going to be our test. We're going to have our faith tested in ways that we never could have even thought of, or we could have never even possibly fathomed the thought of our faith being tested in the manner in which it will be tested for this year. Because as we draw near to this agenda or towards this great reset, the important thing is to not live in fear of what the enemy is going to do. What's more important is that we stay focused on what we could do to serve the Most High with a great sense of urgency. Because when we do things with a great sense of urgency, we get a lot done, don't we? And I'm not talking about to be in a rush, because when you start rushing things, nothing works out. It's a big difference. When you operate with a great sense of urgency, you'd be surprised on what you can get done in a day. I believe it was Earl Nightingale that said, or people would say that Earl Nightingale, because he talked about, living life with a great sense of urgency, is that people like him, they would get what they can get done in a week would take people 6 to 8 months to get done. What they could get done in a month, it would take people a year to get done. So when we operate with a great sense of urgency, we can actually fill up our time in getting things done because we're purposefully driven in serving the Most High. And let me tell you something, people, when you are purposely driven to serve the Most High, you can get a lot done because there's always something to do, especially when it comes to charity. Charity is the gift that keeps on giving. And it's the gift that the Most High gives us. It's that fruit of the Spirit that doesn't need to be recognized. It's the gift that is given, so there's nothing to expect in return. Because if you have the ability to be charitable, then count your blessings. Because that means you got the gift that comes from the Most High God to be able to serve with a great sense of urgency your fellow brothers and sisters that are in this realm on this planet. And for the people that are listening on Spreaker, if you look at the artwork, okay, I'm going to pull it up here real quick. What does it say? It says, service is the rent you pay for having room on the earth. I'm going to say it again. Service is the rent you pay for having room on the earth. So it's time that we start paying. We start giving that service back to the Most High for the life that we've been given to live here. It's time that we start being charitable on steroids. And yes, I said on steroids. I know a lot of people have been like, Aura, you haven't said on steroids for a while. Well, I said it today. We need to be charitable on steroids these days. Why? Because the enemy is getting desperate. And because the enemy's getting desperate, that means that they're coming with everything. They're coming with all the ammunition, all the weapons they have. And, we're going to see spiritual warfare like we haven't seen to present day this year. I feel it. I've been talking about it for months. It's, you could call it an intuition, but my intuition is like, oh, yeah, things are going to get crazy. But you know what that means? As much as they're going to intensify their propaganda, their lies, their manipulation, we can intensify in our charity. We can intensify in following the laws and the commandments. We can intensify in our righteous behavior. We can intensify the level of frequency in how we serve. And we can serve with great positive enthusiasm when serving the Most High. Because when you're serving the Most High, you're serving yourself too. You got to love yourself, right? Like Sister Soraya wrote, you got to love ourselves. That's how we maintain peace, by loving ourselves. That's how we stay upright. Because as long as we love and respect ourselves, we're not going to do anything to disrespect ourselves. And if we do, and we are aware of it, we can repent and not repeat the same mistakes. And what winds up happening, and I've talked about this many times, the more you start to gain wisdom, the more you start to operate with that unwavering faith, the smaller the mistakes are. And the less the repentance has to be. And what I mean by the less, not meaning that you're going to stop repenting, but you're going to stop repenting for things that you once repented for. When we did things that were trifling, where we operated in sins that were despicable. But when you start repenting, you can start minimizing in the way that you sin, so your sins become more minor instead of becoming major. And now it's the time to serve in a major way, because these dark forces, they are relentless, and they have been for quite some time. If any of you saw, well, I didn't even get to share it actually, but I'm going to share a clip on my social media handles about Bill Hates. And, I'm going to put that interview he had with PBS when he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, when you watch his interview, when he's discussing his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, he was so fidgety. I mean, you could just tell. Somebody don't even know the body language of when people are lying. This man was lying his butt off. One of the telltale signs, and the FBI teaches this as well as with the CIA. They're very educated in spotting out people that lie. And one of the things that people do when they're lying is they bring their mouth in. They go. So when they do that, that means that they're lying. And I could tell you that Bill Hates was doing a lot of this, bringing in his upper lip into his jaw, into his top of his mouth, and clenching it. Big time lies, and then he ended it off with he was like, he's dead anyway, so what does it matter? He's like, oh, he's dead anyway. And many of us know that Jeffrey is not dead. That man is not dead. He's still operating somewhere in an undisclosed location, or probably on the island that he owns. But with that being said, we we can't live in fear, right? We can't live in fear. And it's been discussed many times on the network of awareness that we can't be in a state of fearfulness because that's what the enemy wants. Because when you are in that state of fear, what happens? We wind up doubting ourselves. And when we doubt ourselves, you know what winds up happening? The spirit becomes stagnant. The spirit of the Most High doesn't get to express the fruits of its spirit. The fruits don't even get to bear, that you don't get to bear any fruit, and nobody gets to benefit. So that's why it's important that each and every one of us that want to serve the Most High in great ways, we have to not live in fear. We can't be in that state of doubt. Don't doubt yourself, people, for these times, because that's what they want. They want us to be like, oh, what's going to happen? Or this, or the great reset, and what next science appliance they're going to come out with. What's this? What's that? Oh, look at the chemtrails. Yeah, we're going to still talk about these things, but just to be aware of them. Because the better the more you know, the more you're aware of, the better prepared you could be for it and how to handle it. But it doesn't mean that we're supposed to stop and give up just because things are looking grim. And they have been. Let's just keep it real. Things are pretty grim. But doesn't mean that we can't live the best life that the Most High intended for us. And one of the greatest lessons or epiphanies, one of the greatest spiritual understandings that I've had in the last several months, based on all the adversity that I had to overcome and the trials and tribulations that I had to endure, is that understanding that not only that we're here for a reason, but that it's important for me. This is the understanding that I've come to. It's important for me to not get caught up in things that are not good for me. And then when I have that instinct, that feeling, that intuition, to go with that and not question that anymore. As well as being uncomfortable and not getting complacent, not getting slothful, not getting comfortable with any situation. My thing is, if I'm serving with a great sense of urgency, how can I ever get comfortable? If there's always something to do, that means that I shouldn't be sitting back with idle time or creating idle time. Because a lot of us create our idle time, right? How do we create our idle time? By not doing nothing. Saying, oh, you know what? I'm just going to chill out. I'm just going to relax. Now, I'm not saying that you should be working 24/7. But what I am saying is that we should be pursuing a multitude of purposes with great urgency. So that way we don't get lax, because there is always something to do. And let's just be honest. The governments of the world are putting us in positions to get uncomfortable. But what they're looking to do is to have that uncomfortability make us become subservient to them, make us get frustrated to where we become complacent and we become compliant in serving their agenda instead of serving the Most High. Another thing I realized too is that no more benefits of the doubts, people. No more benefits for the doubts. Stop giving people the benefit of the doubt. This is the time right now that we cannot be congregating or associating ourselves with people that are not of like spirit, with people that don't not only have good intentions on serving the Most High, they have no intentions, but that are just not doing the right thing, because you're going to wind up getting compromised. That's another thing I learned is don't allow the truth to get compromised. Don't allow that truth, that heavenly light, that kingdom of heaven within you to get compromised by associating yourself with somebody that is not looking to share that light that's within them. And don't associate with people that have dim light. You can be charitable to them to a certain degree, but hey, when somebody's just not doing right, you got to let them go and not look back, right? Like I've always talked about, like my friend's mother told me a long, long time ago. When you throw something in the garbage, you don't go back to pick it up. And that's another thing. We can't be going back to pick things up that are meant to be left behind. Something else that I realized is that everything happens for a reason, and that reason is there to serve you. Everything that's happened, as bad as it was for a good reason. So for people that did their little reflections for this past year, according to the Gregorian calendar, those people are like, oh, let's look back on the year 2022 and see, what happened. Understand that all those bad things that happened to you was to make room for all the good things that are meant to happen for you through the grace of the Most High. So with that being said, let's take a brief intermission, because we're just over just an hour on this broadcast. And I want to share a beat that I made this morning. Now, it's not mixed down yet, but this is like a rough draft, but I'm liking it. So I wanted to share it. I call it my Hey trap beat because I haven't even figured out a name for it yet. But I'm gonna play this beat, and then I might play something else, and then we'll come right back. All right. So let's check it out real quick. Yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed that beat. I haven't got a name for it yet, but it's still a work in progress, but coming together pretty well. Um, what I want to do right now too, real quick, I want to recognize since we've gone through the 12-month period, so to speak. I want to give a shout out to the countries that support the network of awareness, as well as the states within the U.S. that support, because without you, um, we can make this thing, be as successful as it has been. And we're just getting this is just the beginning, people, right? But one thing that I'm really grateful for this past 12 months, we um we had over 20,000 downloads. Now, obviously, I get shadow banned and it should be higher than that, but I'm not going to even focus on that because that, regardless, it just is what it is, right? But the 20,000 that did come through, I appreciate it. And let's quadruple it. Let's quadruple it within the next 12 months. But with that being said, let's recognize some of these places. I want to give shout outs to Sweden, to Italy, to Denmark, Finland, Saudi Arabia, Poland, Israel, South Africa, Greece, Costa Rica, Australia, Brazil, Spain, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Austria, Philippines, Hungary, Russia, Mexico, Netherlands, Bangladesh, Germany, India, United Kingdom, Canada, and then the United States, which has the largest market share when it comes to the network of awareness. So one thing I'm very grateful for is that we almost had every single state in the US listen to the show. So let's name the states, and thank you again for the downloads. Appreciate it. New Mexico, Maine, Delaware, West Virginia, Alaska, New Hampshire, Idaho, Kansas, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Oregon, DC, Nebraska, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, Ohio, Connecticut, Michigan, Indiana, Maryland, Wisconsin, Alabama, Pennsylvania, Missouri. I got a lot of haters in Missouri, but shout outs to the people in Missouri that are not hating. But I know that I got some watchful eyes in Missouri. Keep watching, baby. We ain't stopping. Oklahoma, Tennessee, South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, Washington, Virginia, Colorado, Utah, North Carolina, California, New Jersey, Texas, Illinois, Louisiana, New York, Georgia, and Florida. So thank you all to the people that have, downloaded episodes to have us over 20,000 just in the past 12 months. So we're growing, baby. We're getting this word out because it's all praises to the Most High. That's why I do what I do. I don't do this show for people, even though this show helps out people, but I do this for the Most High. This is the way that I serve. This is one of the ways that I serve is through this platform. And this platform wouldn't be what it is right now, not just with the love and support with many brothers and sisters that support the show, but it's really because of the grace of the Most High that I'm allowed to do this. Ever since I decided to not be an insurance broker anymore, and I took a major pay cut, I got hit in the pockets deeply. I've never been happier. This has been, these past 3 years have been some of the most wonderful years of my life spiritually. And though I took a hit in the pockets, that's nor here nor there, because the biggest lesson, and this is what I wanted to segue into. The biggest lesson, the biggest spiritual lesson that I learned this year was that it's like, how can I explain this? I don't want to get emotional, but I learned that it's better to be a man of worth than to be a man of success. And for those of you that heard that show, if you haven't, check out that show. Is being a man of worth rather than being a man of success. Why? Because success is temporary. That's the biggest lesson I learned this year. Is that success is temporary. Success is like an emotional feeling of an accomplishment. Okay, I successfully accomplished something. But being a man of worth, you will always be successful in the eyes of the Most High. You will always be a man or a woman of value when you are that individual spiritual being having a spiritual experience and being of worth to the Most High, being worthy of the Most High, being worthy towards working towards your salvation. And how do we work towards our salvation? Besides keeping the commandments, besides walking in the light, in the path, in the grace of the Messiah, and taking all the principles that the Messiah has taught us throughout the ages and through his sacrifice and through the sacrifices, is that we are worthy of grace. We are worthy through our service to be worthy for salvation, to be worthy to really operate in that kingdom of heaven that's already within us. But we have to share that light with the rest of the world. We have to be in service, not to the world, but be service in the world to the Most High. So, I'm only going to stay on for a little bit longer for this broadcast. And I'm going to play a couple of more songs before I end the show. Right? We're going to play some music from Take, from Brother Julian. We're going to play some music from The Free. Play a couple of songs from from a couple of brothers that that I haven't played in a while. But one of the things I want to say before we go into that, before we go into a brief intermission, is that people start putting yourself in a position to serve with great sense of urgency. Put yourself in a situation or situations where you can't be comfortable because you're too busy, you're too active in your service to the Most High. And when you're not busy and when you're finding yourself dealing with idle time, do something about it. Find something to serve. And it doesn't mean just serving others. It doesn't even mean you could serve animals, but also serving yourself. Serve yourself with knowledge. Gain that wisdom so that you can become a more upright and better servant to the Most High. So, let's take another brief intermission. And let's start off with Stay Patient, right? Stay Patient. This is from Brother Julian. It's one of my favorite songs. This gets me amped up. This gets me amped up like how I used to get amped up off of DMX songs. But in a positive way. All right? So, we'll be back, brothers and sisters. You're now tuned in to the network of awareness. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the network of awareness.
Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Taking my thoughts and bringing to Christ. Throwing down imaginations. I'm just trying to stay patient. Steadfast, can't wait. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Dodging demons like the Matrix. I'm just trying to go home. Swore made it that truth. So I just gotta move on. Ready for war, ready for death if it go like that. So if I die, I pray that I die for the most high God. I can't turn around, I can't look back, so it's all out war. I'm seeing the path so narrow, careful to not fall. Get up for it's too late. Sun come with a blaze with a judgment. In that day won't see where the sun went all black like sackcloth and the moon blood. This is a warning to go and repent. This is a warning to seek out the Lamb. This is the point where you go and examine. Gotta stay patient, I'm looking inside. Trust the Most High with all of my life. I love all my brothers, we suffer with Christ. When it feel like death, just know that it's life. Don't give up, Christ pay that price. Don't give up, Christ pay that price. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Taking my thoughts and bringing to Christ. Throwing down imaginations. I'm just trying to stay patient. Steadfast, can't wait. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Dodging demons like the Matrix. I'm just trying to go home. Swore made it that truth. So I just gotta move on.
I hardly ever say much, but they do whatever I say. They do whatever I say. Yeah. Every time I pull up in the driveway, she be like, "Oh my Yahweh, 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 Yahweh." I hardly ever say much, but they do whatever I say. But they do whatever I say. Every time I pull up in the driveway, she be like, "Oh my Yahweh, hopscotch on your planet. Why you all up in my space?" I hardly ever say much, but they do whatever I say. Yeah. Every time I pull up in the driveway, she be like, "Oh my Yahweh, hopscotch on your planet. Why you all up in my space?" All these battles that I face, which I go proceed at a high rate. I watch them migrate and hide, cause when I rap I really hydrate. Catch a wave while you thugging out. And God is a woman, she love me wow. Make you spark your inner Noah's Ark. I got a flow that will flood your house. Every day is celebration. She roll it up, no hesitation. Sativa, I got from Shiva. Guarantee infinite elevation. There is love in the air. Release a ether, watch it linger. Middle fingers in the air. If you got a middle finger, I have to let go of the past, cause I crave a better future. Now my homegirl got an ass, and she meditate like she Buddha. She got the sauce like picante. We got the sauce like BBQ. We got the sauce like tomatoes. Escape from hell like I'm Kratos. I hardly ever say much, but they do whatever I say. Yeah. Every time I pull up in the driveway, she be like, "Oh my Yahweh, hopscotch on your planet. Why you all up in my space?" All these battles that I face, she Fetty Wap, she come my way. She swerved for me on the highway. I'm higher than life and God's ways. I'm trying to live, you a zombie. I pay my bills like I'm Cosby. I grind, kick, flipping ollie. They witness how I be so gnarly. Back to the future like Marty. You're a slacker, McFly. My flow will approach your MK Ultra. I'm hacking your mind. Just let me be, or be left behind. Better climb your ladder. My flow antimatter. Vibrate through your spine.
Peace and love right now. Why, yo? I ain't playing about it, I need my money right now. I don't care about that shit, but the hundreds give me power to change the world. I'm coming for the man's throat. We killing Mother Earth, yo, it ain't a fucking joke. Turn your TV off, read the book, stupid. Get your mind right, if we unite, we could do this. I was born to ride for the cause, wildin' out in my drawers, bad it, fuck the laws, they corrupt. I do my own dance, to my own drum, sing my own song. I ain't heard nothing real in so long. God soldier, yo, your time's over. Mobbing with my posse, overthrow ya. Power to the people. Love conquers all, kill is evil. It's like 1, 2, 3. I go by the name Death Free. Peace and love, that's how I rock. And you know that we won't stop. Why, yo? 1, 2, 3. I'm for hope and equality. I can't believe that they done shot Nipsey. Too much violence, it must stop. Why, yo? No one's innocent, we all play a part. If we turn our heads, then we ain't pure of heart. Takes courage, baby, who's coming with me? Who's down to step up? Who's getting busy on the punk beats? Pick your fucking trash up. Ocean's dying, threw your damn cup out the window. Microplastics for the kiddos. More fire, more carbon. More liars in the government. Folks starving, folks tired. Who's riding? It's like 1, 2, 3. I go by the name Death Free. Peace and love, that's how I rock. And you know that we won't stop. Why, yo? 1, 2, 3. I'm for hope and equality. I can't believe that they done shot Nipsey. Too much violence, it must stop. Why, yo? We gon' spread that peace and love, we gon' spread that peace and love, we gon' spread that peace and love right now. Why, y'all? We gon' spread that peace and love, we gon' spread that peace and love, we gon' spread that peace and love right now. Why, y'all? Hey, yo, spread it. All that hatred got to dead it. If we don't come together, then we gon' regret it. Headed towards freedom with no break, no exit. The man's time is over. You can say I said it. Spread it. All that bullshit got to stop it. Fighting against each other, yo, that's what he always running. Robbing for the cause, for my God. Get it on till I die. I'm a freedom ride. Change is gonna come. We gon' spread it. That peace and love, we gon' spread it. That peace and love, we gon' spread that peace and love right now. Why, y'all? We gon' spread that peace and love, we gon' spread
You are now tuned in to the network of awareness.
See what emails I miss.
In the mix.
Got sipping these emails. Pass. Definitely pass. Wait, hold on. What's this? Cause I got an email from a Malone Hicks. Wonder what this is about. Pretty lengthy. Let's see. Shalom, take. I'm hoping that you read this message. It might be long, but your music helped me through depression. I was on the brink of ending my life, but when I heard you on the radio, it changed my life. I was at my lowest point, abusing drugs and getting stoned, cheating on my girl cause we could never get along. But when I heard the song, All Praise to Yah, all of a sudden my intuition raised the bar. I was a mess, but now I'm sweeping up my foolishness, cause I'm influenced by the music that you're doing. It's got me growing closer to Yah. At one point I just wanted to score drugs, but it's all about the favor now. It ain't a cakewalk, every day is a battle. Trials and tribulations, but I'm still in the saddle. Less of a cattle, more of a leader, soon to be father. My wife is 6 months, already went out and got a rattle. I hope you keep pushing music for Yah, cause not a lot of credit's being given to Yah. There's way too much vanity and too much pride. A lot of times people just lose sight of the Messiah. But anywho, I just wanted to say thank you, brother. I guess this email is my only way to hug you. My life has changed for the better. It's all about the Son and Father in heaven. My loyalty's with them forever. The world thinks we're crazy just for praising Yah.
They put us all to shame just for praising Yah. But we don't give a damn cause we true at heart. We know who we are. We're children of Yahweh. 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 Yes, Yahweh. The world thinks we're crazy just for praising Yah. They put us all to shame just for praising Yah. But we don't give a damn cause we true at heart. We know who we are. We're children of Yahweh. All praise to Yahweh. 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 It's Yahweh. Wow. All praise to Yah. That just made my day right there. Let me write him back real quick. Shalom Malone. Thank you for your kind words, brother. It's feedback like this that makes me continuously keep doing what I do for Yahweh Ben Yahweh and Father Yahweh Elohim. I hope you and your queen stay well and grow spiritually stronger together. May no weapons formed against you all prosper. And may the Most High favor her with a successful pregnancy so that you both may have a healthy, beautiful child. Barakatah. All praise to Yah. All praise Yahweh. Hey.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
Yeah. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, got no more space in my life. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, no more space in my life. Picture me with the crib by the beach, beautiful wife by me. With the sun living out our dreams when they all doubted, said watch me. Got to work with a smirk, kept stacking. Brick by brick, I built this shit, stay consistent, committed and never quit, and kept my distance 6 feet from them niggas. Faking the folded, but I just kept going crazy. The ones supposed to be closest be the ones gossiping behind your back, praying for you to fall, casting demons on you. But Yahweh with me, so I stand tall. The only time you see me fall on my knees to pray. I want you to see all the shit that you did to me. I want you to see me taking off now. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, got no more space in my life. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, no more space in my life. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, got no more space in my life. See what you did to me, made me a better me. Had to leave them niggas behind, no more space in my life.
Yes, yes. Nice little intermission for a live broadcast. So, for edification purposes and to basically shed some light, what better than the scriptures to present the information when it comes to serving. When it comes to serving the Most High, when it comes to serving the Messiah, when it comes to serving Christ with a great sense of urgency, let's read some quick scriptures before we end the show um, that are going to bring this out, this everlasting truth and this everlasting light. So let's read. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 11. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. In John chapter 12, verse 26, if any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. All praises to the Most High in Christ for that, right? Also, in Mark chapter 9, verse 35, and he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all. Facts. So all these scriptures are powerful, but that one in regards to this episode is so true. We have to stop practicing vanity. Vanity right now, people, is on an all-time high because this whole entire world, especially the United Shenanigans of America, is being socially conditioned through the ego to be some vanity type of people that we have walking around these days. So be careful with that sin of vanity, because that's the one that creeps up on a lot of us. And if we're not careful, it can get the best of us. Trust me when I tell you. Also, Matthew chapter 25, verse 21 said, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And what is that saying? That if we're faithful servants, the Most High is going to bless us. And this is something that I always say, people, is that the fact that you can do something, the fact that you can serve, no matter what way you can serve, that's the gift that's already been given. So there's nothing to expect in return because you've already been blessed with the gift. So all you have to do is give it back. And as long as you keep giving back, the Most High is gonna look out. The Most High is gonna honor that. The Most High is gonna favor you for that, because the favor is in the gift that can be given back to somebody else that's in need. And that need can be anything. It can be somebody that needs some money. It could be somebody that needs assistance, somebody that needs help, somebody that needs counsel, somebody that needs a shoulder to cry on, somebody that needs a hug, somebody that needs love. So I'm going to end it with this one. This is Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 4. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. We need to start cleaving, people, with a great sense of urgency. All right. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I hope that this episode 25, serving with a sense of urgency, has brought you great substance and edification. And we'll be back tomorrow, right? I got a couple of episodes pre-recorded coming out this week that you should definitely check out. I got an episode with Brother Could Come on the glorification of abominations. You don't want to miss that one. We go in and we don't waste no time on that episode. And then I have another episode with Brother Kadar, and that episode is all about the power within temperance. All right. And then I have more episodes coming out, and I have more guests coming out for this season 5, which is great understandings. So I hope that this episode gave you great understanding so that you can have a sense of urgency in serving with the great understanding, which is the kingdom of heaven, which is the light that's within you. So, as usual, don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, people, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. And when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning. So start your new beginning by serving with a great sense of urgency for the Most High. Because we're all on the quest for salvation if we choose to serve and if we choose to follow the laws, the statutes, the commandments, and we choose to walk in the light of the Heavenly Father and His Messiah, Christ. So, brothers and sisters, peace, love, and light, and all praises to the Most High.